In 1263, the Vikings fought their last real battle on Scottish soil. The battle was fought along the shoreline at Largs. The Vikings' defeat led to a treaty 2 years later and the slow retreat of the Norwegian forces from Scotland. Every year, in August and September, the Battle of Largs is commemorated by an 8-day festival of culture, education and family fun. The centrepiece of the celebration is the famous Largs Viking village, an authentic recreation of the 13th century Viking settlement in Scotland. There are a host of other attractions for locals and visitors alike.
Good morning, my name is Thorfinn and I'm in charge of the kitchen table today because we are a Viking, we're in a mobile camp and we all have to take part in what's going on. And so it's my job today to look after the kitchen and the kitchen table.
What I've got here is just some of the belongings which I would have when I was going away, maybe out hunting or on a raid. I would carry some equipment with me. On here I have a pair of scissors, sewing kit which will have a needle and some thread, and also I carry a spare needle in there, a bronze needle which we carry as well. We have spare thread and also an awl for which to repair my bag. I would just push the hole into the awl, into the leather and sew the bag up.
I'm a bronze worker and what I'm making here is a pinannular brooch, which is the standard cloak pin for Vikings and Celts. This is a very elaborate cast one, based on the St Ninian's Isle brooch from the Scottish Isles.
Here we have the makings of bread to start with. It could be made of barley or wheat or oats in this case. We have oats. This is it in its natural form. It would grow in our fields or in somebody else's field, and we would reap it with a hook-shaped knife and gather it together, dry it and rub it to get the grain off. And because it's oats, we put it in a bowl and pound some of it to turn into what you would call porridge oats, because we like our porridge too. And then some of it would go into the quern and we grind it to produce the flour. Takes a little time, but eventually the flour comes out of the gap between the two stones and it drips through, filters through from the center. And eventually we have a nice bowl of flour like this, and so then we would take the flour and make it into bread, make the dough, and then because we're a Viking, again, mobile camp, we don't have an oven. If we were actually at home, we would probably have a joint oven made of clay, which we could all take our dough to bake into bread, unless we were fortunate enough to have a larger village with a bakery, in which case he would do all the job for us, and we would buy the bread with silver, or perhaps with this new knife I've made. I could trade this in perhaps for maybe a 2 week supply of bread.
Bit about willow. The Vikings would have used willow to make baskets for storage, for food, for collecting vegetables or wood. They would have had something like this to wear on their back, and they would be able to carry heavy loads.
Of course, we need some butter, so this is the original milk churn. You pour the milk into the churn and all the little holes in the bottom, you plunge it and keep on going, and it makes a lovely squelching sound. And as that sound starts to diminish and starts to thicken, you can feel it's harder. The butter is coming, so then you scrape the butter out and put it in a bowl ready to use. You can shape it into whatever shape you wish and keep it and store it in that way.
This here is the Clarsack, which is the Celtic harp popular in Scotland and Ireland. Though there is some mention of it in the Viking sagas. The advantage of this over the lyre is because it's made up of different bits, you can make the frame much larger, I mean you can put more strings on it. The back of it here is the sound box, this is where the sound resonates from. The Vikings would have had access to wire for their strings. They used wire for a lot of things, like thick wire for chainmail lengths, thin wire for snares. They even used it for jewellery.
Here we have some of the armour to which we would have ourselves as well, which will have a little leather cap I would put on, and then we'll put the coif on top, which is chainmail, for want of a better word, balaclava. Put that on, and then the nasal helm on top. As you can see, it gives you plenty of protection as well.
We might fancy something sweet, and of course we do have something sweet, and that's honey, because we have plenty of bees. We always look after our bees, because not only do we have honey for our bread, but we like to get some of the honey converted into mead, which is the oldest known alcoholic drink. They were making mead long before beer or ale was ever thought of, and it really does help to reach those parts.